Latest developments in matters related to his term of office. Moyane has been at loggerheads with President Cyril Ramaphosa, who instituted two separate inquiries, which Moyane is at the center of. He demanded that the president halts the commission of inquiry into tax administration and governance at SARS, as well as his disciplinary inquiry. His lawyer, Eric Mabuza, says his client has been treated unfairly since his suspension 3 months ago.
Commissioner Moyane will continue to maintain his dignified silence and only communicate via the good offices of his legal representatives, as currently advised. The time will surely come when he will be called upon to account personally as a servant of the public. His silence must, however, never be mistaken for cowardice, timidity, or a weakened resolve to fight for his rights, for justice, and for fairness. The president wanted the inquiry on paper. Ostensibly, that is unfair, and we've raised that issue pertinently with the president. Similarly, before Nugent, we complained about the unfairness of not having been invited to the inquiry. We complained about the presence of Professor Michael Katz. So there's absolutely nothing Stalingrad about that. We've always said, once the president removes the stumbling blocks, we are happy to attend the inquiry in a day or so. If indeed seeking for fairness is Stalingrad, my client is happy to be labeled as such.
Well, for more on this story, we cross to our business anchor, Nzinga Kunta, who attended the briefing. Good afternoon, Nzinga. It's quite interesting that Mr. Moyane has taken a step back from speaking for himself.
Good afternoon, Mpumelelo. Yes, Eric Mabuza, who's his legal representative, who read out a statement earlier on, as you heard in that clip, saying that silence shouldn't be mistaken for cowardice. And at a later stage, suspended Commissioner Tom Moyane is going to speak for himself. Now is not the time. And perhaps maybe we can bring in Eric Mabuza and just get a little bit more on the briefing that took place today. Thanks so much for your time. So firstly, can we ask you to summarize why the media was called here today and what the president said to you that made you believe that it was good news?
Thank you for inviting me. You would have seen from the press conference, the whole point was to try and clarify the confusion which arises from the two processes. It's very confusing even for experienced journalists, but was mainly to clarify the public, because SARS is an important institution, so everyone needs to know what is happening at SARS and also the two parallel processes. So that was the main reason, to clarify whatever confusion the public may have had. The second reason was to tell the public the response of the president, because we're very pleased about his response, where basically the president has applied his mind. He says we should give him time to look at the outcome of the BAM inquiry before he decides whether to stop one or both of the inquiries or to proceed with both of them. You'll remember that was the main complaint that we've raised against the president, that we're being subjected to two parallel processes, which is deeply unfair for our client. So fortunately, it looks like the president has considered our view. He just asked for time for the BAM inquiry to have a verdict on the preliminary objections that we've raised before he comes back to us. We expect that would be in 2 to 4 weeks before that happens.
During the briefing, you spoke quite harshly towards the media, saying that Tom Moyane has been subjected to a trial by media and that people perhaps may be too close to the story. And there was a little bit of a blowback to that. So what do you think, in your opinion, journalists are getting wrong with this Tom Moyane story?
Well, if you take just clippings and radio for the last 3 months, you would see that the way Mr. Moyane has been treated has been quite unfair. Now there's addition of the tobacco, illicit cigarettes, everything that went bad or supposedly bad at SARS is put in its place. You must remember, especially with the tobacco issue, there are vested interests. So that's why that narrative is being pushed. It was very important for Mr. Moyane to tell the public the truth, to say whatever is happening, what he feels is unfair against. And if you look at all those things that we've listed and you go point by point, you will see that our complaint is not unfounded.
Of course, Mr. Moyane didn't speak, which upset a few of us who were here because it felt as though people were brought here perhaps not with the right motive. We didn't hear him speaking. We heard you speaking from a statement. So the question would be, even though you've said his silence doesn't indicate guilt, why is he not speaking out? Because as you've said, the truth will set him free. Why is he not speaking out and saying, this is the problem and this is what I can say? I know, because I know I've done nothing wrong and I know that I led SARS the right way.
Well, the reason he didn't speak is on our advice. Remember, there are still processes that are still going on, so we advise him not to speak. He'll speak at the appropriate time and forum when the time comes.
You've also said that the Nugent inquiry is perhaps a waste of taxpayers' money because of this problem of parallel processes. So I'm just going to go back to that thing of SARS is a very important institution, and we also know that the behavior of leadership determines how citizens act. If there are questions around the commissioner and he does want his job back, as you say, should he not go through as many hoops as possible to show that if he's not doing anything wrong, however many processes he's subjected to, he's going to come out without mud on himself?
No, that isn't the ideal world. The Constitution guarantees him a right not to be subjected to double inquiries. He's not invoking anything which is exceptional. He's simply saying, subject me to one process, I will deal with that. It's fine. If after that the DC is finished, the president can start whatever inquiry he wants. And Mr. Moyane, if he's required as a witness there or to testify, he'll go and testify. But you can't have two parallel processes going at the same time.
And finally, before we go, this you've described it as 3 months of almost torture and subjected to lots of very difficult things. This has obviously harmed the image of SARS in the public domain. Do you think that there's times where, as a leader, you need to say, I need to step aside because the amount of drama, if I can use a word like that, and the amount of mud that is there because of these allegations, because of what people who worked under Tom Moyane are saying, perhaps it's best for him to step aside until this process is done and then start later?
The person who's harming SARS is not Commissioner Moyane. It's the negative reporting around the matter. There's been vicious reporting around the matter. It's not him. He's remained silent. There's a lot of evidence, which most of it, by the way, can be sustained in an open inquiry. A lot of people are saying different things because they are not being subjected to cross-examination. It is the negative reporting that is harming the image of SARS, not Mr. Moyane.
And also the statements that people who've worked at SARS have painted a picture of his leadership. Surely that also needs to be given consideration and not just saying it's negative media reporting that's leading to that.
4 or 5 in an organization of 14,000 people, so you must have balance when you look at that. 4 or 5 people, you will always have disgruntled employees. You're not going to be liked by everyone. But remember, it's an institution with 14,000 employees. So when you take a sample of 3 or 4 people who are disgruntled, you can't say that everyone is unhappy. But remember, the question that remains is that he is the trillion man.
That trillion has also been questioned. I'm sorry, I know I said I would let you go, as smoke and mirrors and people holding back certain amounts of money, not paying taxpayers in time, and that's why we got to that 1 trillion number. And also saying it would have eventually gotten there because of the tax base.
We will deal with that once the obstacles are cleared. We'll be able to show that what they are saying has no basis.
Eric Mabuza, thanks so much for your time on SABC News.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Nompumelelo, Eric Mabuza, Tom Moyane's lawyer, speaking to us there about some of the issues that were raised in that press briefing. Of course, now we're going to wait for Advocate Azar Bam's disciplinary into Tom Moyane, see what comes out from there, and then we'll know what Tom Moyane's team is going to do. We're going to know what President Ramaphosa is going to do. So it seems like even though we're brought here to be given clarity on these issues, we still have more questions going forward. It's back to you in studio.
Thanks very much, Nzinga, for that report. More news.